Hello, hello. All right. I have something for you tonight. And I'm kind of excited to talk about it because I think we've talked about it a little bit before, but we're going to talk about it a little bit tonight. And I plan on being short and sweet. Okay? So I'm going to let people hop on for a second, and then we're going to get going with this. Hello, hello. All right. So I have something really cool for you tonight. I think it's something that, hello. I think it's going to be something really cool for you guys. Interesting, maybe. And it's something that I figured out really late in the game. All right. So I'm excited about tonight. So hello, Irene and Chantel and Kim and Kristen and Michelle. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting, right? So with that said, I want you to post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. You only get 3 chances, okay? After that, you are an oldie but goodie. So that's when you post a 2 below because you're an oldie but goodie. All right. So hopefully many of you caught me live last night over on the group. If you're not part of the group, just click Autism Mama Rocks IEP group and you can join the group. It's a great group with lots of people who support one another, and I go live there and do a Q&A each week. All right. So hello. All right. We got Debbie and Kim. Hey, Kim, how are you? All right. So, and Chantel. All right. And if you guys want to go ahead and share this, share away. Okay. I think people are going to be surprised about, it's short and sweet tonight, but it's cool stuff. All right. So I'm just going to get into it. All right. So who knows what the tracks are? All right. Many of you probably know. Hey, Kristen. Hey, Lorena, Barb, and Viviana, and Irene. Welcome. Okay. So there's 3 different tracks. All right, look, I can't even put up the numbers, okay? So the cool thing about the tracks is wherever it is that your child is, so for example, dependent on their ability, all right? That's not a bad thing. It's just where they are. I think as parents, we've learned with having children with special needs that we've accept them from where they are. I personally, I don't know about you, but I personally accept Skylar for where she is. Was there a time where, as a mom, I felt, insufficient? I felt like, did I do something wrong? I mean, I remember in the beginning when she was born, I was like, did I eat something wrong? I didn't know what to think, And I know I'm not the only mom who thought that way because, of course, we think like, did I do something wrong to hurt my child, right? And then, of course, more knowledge, Sky's 15. So back then, like, it was right when autism was really kind of being put out there. And just a couple years later was when the whole Jenny McCarthy thing went on. So and that's when the biomedical treatments were huge. And, now it's the norm. There's not many people who walk around today that don't know a child with autism or a disability, ADHD or anything. And just so you guys know, I work with all kids with an IEP, not autism. Okay. So there's 3 tracks. All right. I'm not sure if your school tells you about the tracks, but you need to know about them and what they mean. All right. So as parents, all right, lots of moms on here. I have 2 other children. Okay. So I have a 24-year-old who's a teacher. For those of you who know me, you guys know this. And then I have a 20-year-old, soon to be 21, soon to be 25, who is in the Coast Guard. And then I have Sky, who's 15. And, so she was my last one, and I had already experienced, 2 typical children. All right. So putting myself in the shoes of a parent where their first child is a child with special needs, I'm sure it's completely different for you guys, and just probably your thought process and the things that go through our brains, right? But when your child is in school, all right, there's 3 tracks. There is the diploma track. What I was getting at, guys, is I have 2 typical children. So when Sky came along, I was in denial for a long time. And then, of course, going through hell with IEP stuff that started when she was 2. I cried all the time. I was depressed. Gosh, I could go on and on. It was awful, you know. I just remember feeling horrible, you know. And then I got to the point where I had to, it was like, it's kind of like a death, you know, you go through those stages of grief and denial and all of those things. And then I just came to the point of acceptance. And, you know, I got the attitude, and I basically put on my blinders as if I was a racehorse, and I ran. Okay. I mean, I think I told you guys, and those of you who have my course, you know that I got my PhD in Google. I mean, I have my doctorate in Google, probably past that. Okay. And it helped me all of this. And I realized that I needed to figure out what I needed to do to best help her, and how I needed to become. How did I need to change my mindset so that I could stay focused on her and her needs, and not be selfish in a way of thinking about poor me, or why did this happen to me, or any of those other things that as moms we feel horrible about talking about, but we do feel them. And so I got to the point where, you know, Sky at first was on the diploma track. So that's the track where typical kids are. You know, we want our kids to graduate with a diploma. They have the advanced diplomas now, and even more than that. And, you know, we want our kids to succeed and do well. And, you know, yes, I want my kid to have a diploma. Of course I do. But is that where she is right now? No, it's not. And that was a hard thing to swallow, to the point where it took me years to change it. Big mistake, because you have to meet your children where they are. How many times have I talked about the fact that teachers and service providers and the school system need to meet your child where they are individually, right here, right now, right? So that their goals can be met, so that their everything that's needed for them to succeed and progress can be met. All right. Well, if being on the diploma track, meaning taking the state assessment in their grade level, they don't get to be in 3rd grade, which is the first time they take this assessment, or let me say 5th grade's the next one. So they can't be in 5th grade taking the 3rd grade assessment. Doesn't work like that. If you're on the diploma track, you take the state assessment for that grade. And I know here it's, you know, in 3rd grade, it's from kindergarten to 3rd grade. Thank you, Lorena. If it's, you know, 5th grade, then it's from 3rd grade or 4th grade to 5th grade, you know, so it goes like that. So the diploma track is for students, and I have parents that I've worked with whose kids are on the diploma track because they're high functioning, but they still have an IEP. All right. Now, and they're able to keep up with the work, with accommodations, okay? And they're still on the diploma track, all right? That's not where my child is. I had to swallow that and accept it. Next track, alternative assessment track. Whatever it's called in your area, find out what it's called, and, you know, it's in your state. So you'll look up, say, California. You'll look up California Special Education Alternative Assessments, all right? And so wherever you live, that's what you're going to work out. And so when you look at that and you think about what it is, I didn't know what it is. I put my child on the alternative track, having no clue what it was, thinking that that was what was going to be best for her because she couldn't be on the diploma track. All right. Now, let's talk about this. The alternative track, so you need to figure out if your child's on the diploma track and if that's appropriate for them. All right. If they're not on grade level, it is not appropriate for them. Okay. If they're in 5th grade on a 3rd, 2nd grade level, there is no way. Now, if they're in 5th grade and they're on a 4th grade level, okay, that could possibly happen. But any further below that, no way. You're basically setting up your child for failure. That's what you're doing. I'm sorry to say, but I'm going to be transparent with you. As an educator, as a mom, you're setting your child up for failure. If you have them on the diploma track and they're behind, they're not on grade level. So you're basically setting up to take a state assessment for that grade level that they're not on to fail. Not cool. All right? Swallow it, digest it. Don't be on this page because you hate me now because I told you that, but that's the fact. The alternative assessment is what we as parents are told about, because children with special needs, you would think, okay, they need the alternative, you know, and they're going to be on an assessment track that is different from the diploma track. Okay, that makes sense to us. What I failed to do was, well, what's the alternative assessment track? What does that entail? What does that look like? What does my child have to do? What type of test is it? Who gives it? Is it alone? Is it in a group? Is there noise? Is there no noise? How is this test given? How is it provided? What is in it? How do I know it's appropriate? Have you asked yourselves these questions? I didn't. I had no idea what to ask. No idea. Okay? So finally, I don't know what happened. I don't. All right? I was at an IEP meeting years ago, and I don't remember how it came up. But it came up. And I remember thinking, well, what's in this test? Like, what is Sky working on? Like, and here in Virginia, it's called VAP, VAAP. All right. And I remember thinking, like, is this what she's doing? Like, because I never saw the assessment ever. I never saw the assessment. I was never shown the assessment. I was never given the assessment in records request. I had never seen this assessment. So I said, I want to see this assessment. What does it look like? Like, what does it entail? Like, what is this for? Like, what's the purpose of it? So do you know that the state assessments for children with disabilities, the alternative one, it's still a state thing, and it's given to your state by the state, and it's an alternative way to give a child an assessment, but still not at where they are. Let me tell you about this. So I said, well, what's in this assessment? What's Sky doing? Do you know that they work on goal? If your child's on the alternative assessment, did you know they work on goals that are not in your child's IEP so that they can take this assessment and do well, so that the school can then send it to the state that this assessment was done, and they basically have to give the data and everything else like that to the state to say that they did it and they worked on these things with the child. My child was doing addition and subtraction. They had her working on algebra because that's what the alternative assessment said that they had to be working on, along with other jacked up things in science and social studies that she wasn't on, so that they can send the BS to the state to say that they worked on it. Check out your assessments. If your child's not ready for the diploma track and you're on the alternative assessment track, you better know what they're doing. Ask what they're doing, ask who's giving it to them, ask for the data, ask for the information that they're working on and how they're working on it, because those goals are not in your child's IEP. They are not. They are extra goals that are given to the school system from the state, from the alternative assessment, for the alternative assessment that they work on, that they do. The child takes the alternative assessment, they send that to the state to say that they did it. Oh yeah, it's a funding thing as well. So the crazy thing to me is, so I'm thinking, oh, you can, and I'm digesting the fact that my child's not on the diploma track. I decide to put her on the alternative track because they told me, I thought they were the experts. And I was a teacher too, but I didn't, know this other stuff. And so I thought that the alternative track was the way to go. Okay, cool. My child's on the alternative track because she has special needs. All right, that makes sense. Never did I ask, what is she going to be working on? What is it that, because I remember when I was a teacher, we had to teach for them to pass the damn state tests. I hated it, and I hated the fact that I had to push that. I wanted to teach for fun. I was that hands-on teacher, let's do cool science stuff. Let's get up out of our seats. I was that teacher. All right. I was not the teacher of pass this test, pass this test, pass this test. Screw tests. Because guess what? Kids know a ton without having to take a test. I sucked at taking tests. And guess what? I have 2 master's degrees. I think I'm doing just fine, but I sucked at taking tests. I got anxiety. So why do we have to base life off a damn test? I mean, I got through college because I could write one hell of a paper. I can write. When I write, I am good at it, but you give me a test and oh shit, it's not going to be good because I am not a good test taker. I get all nervous. I get worried. I'm like, am I going to pass? I want to do really good. I'm a type A personality. I'm all crazy. And I get all this anxiety. My hands are sweating. I got to get up and go to the bathroom. I mean, it's crazy. That's how I get, And, I was just writing an email for a client, like literally right before I came on here. And I'm sitting there changing the dots to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to send to the attorney and the team because I am completely OCD, So, so that's just me, And so I look at it and I think, oh my God, my child is now working on algebra. She doesn't know how to do, carrying over and subtraction yet. How the hell are they working on algebra? And I'm sitting here, this dummy that's how I felt. I felt like a complete dummy and thinking that, oh my God, I chose this alternative assessment thinking, okay, my child, I'm going to set her up for failure if I put her on the diploma track because she's just not there right now. But guess what? You can change it at any time. You can put your child on the diploma track in 4 years at 9th grade if you want to, and they graduate. But if they're not on their grade level right now and they're not where they are right now, don't set them up for failure. Do not do it. But then you got this alternative thing and you got to figure out, is that where they are? And if it's not, you can go on the 0 plan, which is where my child is. Now let's talk about the 0 plan. All right. So if your thought process is all like mine, I guess I should say, and that is, do I really give a crap if my child takes a test and pass it? No, I don't. What I care about right now is that my child, as you guys know, she's at Linda Mood Bell right now. She learns to read really well, proficiently, and comprehend what she's reading. I care about my child having a big vocabulary and understand how to do what she says when she comes home and she says, Mom, I painted pictures and I read today. Remember I told you guys the story of I thought, okay, she's going to Linda Mood Bell. It's like thousands of dollars every couple weeks and she's painting pictures. And remember I told you I found out she was painting pictures in her head, which is how we process how to read a book and how we comprehend. So it was amazing. I was so excited to think that she was doing that and then all the words that she's learning. So vocabulary, reading, proficient in reading, not just fluent, but understanding what's coming out of her mouth. I want her to know the basic math. I suck at math, guys. Okay, not my forte. But I want her to know addition, subtraction, simple multiplication, and simple division. I want her to know fractions, like how to, get a half a cup of milk and put the half a cup of milk into the bowl to make, cookies or whatever. I want her to know those daily type living things to function appropriately in the real world. Do I care that she takes some big assessment to say that she knows how to do algebra, which I don't know how to do anymore, and I'm functioning just fine. If you gave me an algebra equation that says x plus y or whatever the hell's in it, I would not know how to do it today, okay? I would not. I was not good in math. Back in the day when I grew up, we actually had the choice where, how now it's 4 years of math, 4 years of English, all that. Well, guess what? When I grew up, I could take double math in 9th grade and I was done. That's it. Double math, 9th grade, I'm done. I hate math, And That's just it. My son's amazing at math. My 24-year-old who's a teacher, not so good at math, Sky actually is decent at math, but those are the things I want her to know. I want her to know that solid math. I want her to have that concept. I want her to have the vocabulary. I want her to read, okay? I can teach her science, all right? We live 35 minutes from, the state capitol. We learn 35 minutes from the Smithsonian. I can take her to the planetarium, all the museums. I can teach her science and history. I'm cool with that. I don't need that for her, all right? What I want for her is reading and math, because that's how she's going to function today. Do I give a crap that she's on she's throwing a fit right now, so you probably hear her. But Dad's up with her. So this is her nightly meltdown, so have at it. You can hear it. I deal with it every night. It's 15 minutes of screaming, having a fit, because she's been good all day at Linda Mood Bell. She lets it out and she's done. Sorry, Mom, I threw a fit. I feel better now. Done. So that's what she's doing right now. So think about it, okay? This is a short and sweet thing. Think about it. If your child's not ready for the diploma track, take them off. You can put them back on anytime you want. That's your choice. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have a damn IEP meeting. You don't have to have nothing. All right? So if you want to share this, yes, go ahead. And for those of you who are joining, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, and make sure you join the group, Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. Put it in the search bar. That's where we do a Q&A. All right. So diploma track, if your child is on grade level or maybe a year lower than grade level. If not, get them off the diploma track. They're not ready. You can put them back on it anytime you want. You don't have to ask permission. Okay? You don't. Number 2, the alternative assessment track. If you're going to put your child on the alternative assessment track, you better know what they're doing. Who's giving them the test? What are they working on towards the test? Because it's not your damn goals in your IEP. It is not. Don't let them tell you that. It is not. It is completely different. Different. All right? So if your child's on the alternative assessment track, you find out what are they having to do to work towards that alternative assessment. What does that alternative assessment feel like, look like? What are they filling out it on a piece of paper? Are they asked questions? How is that happening? All right? Find out if it's in a room with a group. Is it in a room, by themselves? Is it quiet? Is it loud? Ask all the questions you possibly could ask in reference to the test. Okay? Are accommodations put in play, or is it modified at all? What's going on? Don't not know. Don't just think, oh, I got alternative assessment and not know what it is. You got to know what it is and know what's in it and know what your child's working on, because it's not the goals in your IEP. It is not. All right? And everything that is done in the alternative assessment has to be shipped to the state. It has to be shipped to the state. Okay? And you need to request that information. Ask for the data. Ask for the assessment and what it looks like and what your child did, all right? And make sure that you know what it's about. If they say, oh, we do it verbally, then guess what? Guess what you're going to do? You're going to go sit your butt in that room while your child takes the assessment. Any assessment that is verbal, that is simply a teacher asking a question or questions, and your child isn't like, there isn't something that they're reading and then they're filling it out or whatever, because they can't do that, then you go sit your butt in the back of wherever it is they're taking the assessment and you watch. Okay? I'm serious. You need to be able to see what is happening. You need to be able to understand and process what is happening, to be able to make an educated decision on if this is appropriate for your child. After you ask all the questions, after you visually see it, and don't ever let them say, well, we don't usually do that because, the children, don't usually do as well, and, they'll be distracted and whatever. So guess what? For 15 minutes, you hang out, you chit chat, you let them know you're there, you let them know that they're going to be taking an assessment, you get them good and comfortable, you give them a snack, whatever it is to make them comfortable and know you're there. So in 15 minutes, by the time they start that test, they're good and comfortable. They know mom or dad is there. They're good to go. And there's no excuse of anything because they're cool. They've sat with you for 15 minutes in that room because they're not used to you in that room, in that setting, in the school. So you're giving them 15 to 20 minutes to chill and get used to you there. And then they start the assessment. So there's no excuses. They're good and ready to go at that point. All right, save the crap. They're doing their job. They're just fine. All right. So teachers and people and principals and stuff have said that stuff. Oh, if you go visit your child in the class, back in the day, parents went and volunteered, and parents, brought cupcakes, and we did all kinds of things. Nowadays, there's so many rules and regulations and all these things, and it's ridiculous. All right, things haven't gotten better. They were better back then, and I think it's important to just realize that you have to be mindful of these words and things that are put into place that the school's doing that you may not understand, but you accept because the knowledge isn't there. No offense. It's not you. It's not knowledge that you would have known. I didn't, but because the knowledge isn't there, you don't know about this. They put the alternative assessment. I mean, I work with so many clients, and many of them have no clue if their child's on the alternative, the diploma track, no clue. And I didn't either. I mean, I knew that I took my child off the diploma track, but I didn't know what the alternative assessment was. I didn't know that the things that were worked on was different from what's the goals in my child's IEP. I thought, oh, okay, it has to do with the goals, and she's going to be taking an assessment. No, it was nothing like that. And so I realized really quick how it was very political. And the school has to uphold what they're doing because there's a certain status, if you will, or rules and stipulations and policies in place in accordance with the state and what is required still with the alternative assessment. All right. So then you got the zero track. Let's talk about that for a second and some more. I already was talking about it. So I like the zero track. The reason I like the zero track is because then the sole focus is the goals. And if you have an IEP on point, okay, where it is ready to go, where it is all the verbiage is good to go, where all the stuff that we don't understand, like as needed, if you have the word as needed in your IEP, how many times have I told you guys? Throw it out. Throw it out. What does as needed mean? I have no idea. When I feel like giving it to them, when I feel like giving them a modified test, when I feel like giving them a fidget toy, what does as needed mean? I mean, as needed, you and I would think, oh, whenever my child needs it. But hello, guess what? As needed is up to the person giving it to them. So we don't know. We don't know if they're going to give it to them like you and me would give it to them. So having verbiage like that in the IEP is not wise because we don't know if the other person on the other side is going to provide what you and I would as needed. Does that make sense? So you have to be careful with that. In the zero plan, schools hate that because they don't have anybody to own it up to. Okay, they don't like it because if the state has nothing to reflect back on to make sure the school's doing their job. The school doesn't have that hierarchy of, look, our kids are doing awesome. Look, we're teaching them to memorize the reading test so we can go give them the reading test real quick so that they do good. And we can put all over our website that we have kids that do amazing in reading. Yep, that's what's happening today is we're teaching, Literally, I have a friend who was fired because she told the principal she was not going to teach to memorize. She was going to teach for them to learn, get the assessments done, figure out where the kids are, meet them where they are, and teach them. That she wasn't going to teach them to memorize what it was that was asked of her. That because she didn't want to manipulate the situation and the assessment, she was fired. Anyway, the zero track is cool because you can choose what it is you want your child to learn. So if you have a child, and this isn't for everybody, guys. If you have a child that is impacted, not significantly, of course, we're talking of the significantly impacted children, but Skylar can have a full-blown conversation with me, full-blown, back and forth. I was on a call with a client, and she's sitting there telling me that it's not cool, that, I had grounded her from her phone, and then she went upstairs and told dad that mom grounded her for 5 weeks. I did not ground her for 5 weeks, but then she went upstairs and told dad that I had grounded her from her phone for 5 weeks, and how she literally said how that was crazy. Mom's crazy. She grounded me for 5 weeks from my phone. I'm sitting there on the call with my client, and I'm like, I didn't ground her for 5 weeks, but whatever. But she can have full-blown conversations, okay? Her vocabulary is getting quite large, and she is getting, yeah, I agree. She is getting, thank you, Stephanie. She is getting amazing help from Linda Moodbell. I can't even tell you how thrilled I am. But the key thing here is you have to, as parents, make individual decisions, all right? Don't do what other people do. Don't even ask. I stopped asking, do I like, watching and seeing what other people do and getting some advice? Sure. But I take it for what it is. That's what I tell people to do on my group too. Take it for what it is and realize that you can put things out there, and I want you to put things out there. But I also want you to understand that everybody's situation is different. You're not living with them in their home. And so you need to make sure that you make the wisest decision for you. All right? Having that extra knowledge, however, realizing that's not your child. Okay? And so, the zero plan helps your child focus more on goals. Again, you need to have the right present levels and goals. All right? Yes, I can help you with that. Yes, I'm taking new clients. Finally, oh my God, things were crazy for the longest time. My head was spinning, but they're starting to calm down. After next week, they're going to calm down. I have a mediation tomorrow. I got a mediation next week. Lots of things going on, but by the end of next week, I can relax a little. So if you have IEPs coming up, you need any help, you need your IEP gone through, you need the package, whatever, yes, just PM me and I will help you out. But with that said, the zero plan, I really like it because you can basically create the right goals for your child, have them work on the right goals, and really focus on what's important right now. And what's important right now is the things that you have in your mind that would be best for them to learn, all right? Because as parents, we know where our child is best. We just do, all right? I don't care what any other educator says out there. I'm an educator, but I couldn't tell you what's going to be best for your child. And I'm a teacher. So you need to focus on what is it, and ask yourself, what is it that my child needs to learn to function in the real world? Well, being able to have conversation, all right? Say they're nonverbal. You need an AAC device with a really good app or program preferably, all right? Some of these programs cost a lot of money that the schools have to pay for, okay? And that can help your child verbally talk. So they need to be able to have conversation. They need to have expressive and receptive language. That is something to help them, that would benefit them. That's a daily living skill. That's just not speech. Daily living. In today's world, you have to be able to receive the information and deliver the information. Expressive is delivering it. Receptive is receiving it. Okay? If you can't do that, There's, I can't even do it right. There's no conversation. You want your children to conversate. I don't care if it's with their AAC device. They can conversate. Just like children and people who are in the deaf community communicate with sign language. I love sign language. Sometimes it's nice just to have quiet. So my thing is it doesn't matter how they communicate. They just need to be able to communicate. All right? Same thing with, math. They need to be able to do basic math. Yeah, we all use calculators. But guess what? They need to be able to do addition, subtraction.
I got upset today.
I know, I saw that. Look at your hair. It's all crazy.
Mom, I hurts. Okay. Maybe you took my phone till Wednesday.
That's right. I did take your phone till Wednesday. See, Wednesday, not 5 weeks. So what else? What was I saying? Someone tell me what I was saying. I forgot. She whenever she comes and talks to me, I lose my train of thought. What was I saying? This is my daughter, 6th grade, but 3rd grade level in math. Okay, yeah, I was talking about math. Okay, so our kids need, they need to be able to do basic math. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions. All right? Weight, maybe. But that's it. Other than that, use your damn calculator. That's how you and I do it, right? Or do you sit and figure it out on a piece of paper? Sometimes I do, but, So the next thing, reading. They have to know how to read, okay? They need to be able to read. They need to be able to read. What is reading? Is reading fluency? What is the hierarchy of reading? How does it go from top to bottom? Vocabulary is number 1. You don't have vocabulary, you're not going to be able to read. You may have fluency, but no comprehension. What is the point in reading if you don't know what the hell it meant? And then the school's going to say, oh, he can read. He reads great. He reads 5th grade books. Awesome. I'm glad he's reading a 5th grade book. Does he understand it? No, he doesn't. Well, what grade does he understand? What grade level book does the child understand? That's where they're at in reading. Not that they're reading fluently on an 8th grade, 5th grade level. If they're only comprehending a 3rd grade level, then that's where they are. I don't care how they can fluently read something if they're not comprehending it. That's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, okay? Why do people teach to fluently read? You got to teach to comprehend. And you start with vocabulary. You have to know what words mean. Then, once you know what the words mean, then you can start putting the words together, which is part of what? Phonemic awareness and decoding, okay? And creating a picture, all right? And formulating that picture in their brain and painting that picture. Like Sky came home and said, I paint the picture in my head, Mom. Okay, they have to be able to paint the picture. If they don't have vocabulary, they don't know how to put the words together, they don't know how to paint the picture, formulate what it means, there's no comprehension happening. You gotta work at the steps. I mean, I have a child that has comprehension goals, no decoding, no vocabulary, not shit. And they don't understand it. It's crazy. Like, what are these educators thinking? Who the hell made these goals? I don't get it. How do you jump to comprehension when the child doesn't even know vocabulary? I mean, how stupid is that? I mean, sometimes and right now I will be very honest with you. I am at the point right now, I think I'm going to take, a week maybe at Christmas to chill the hell out, because I'm at that point where I have had it. I have seriously had it, because I feel like negative Nelly sometimes, but this is the stuff I deal. You know how you deal with stuff every day with work or whatever. Say you deal with computers and, something's frustrating and you're just bitching about whatever that is, right? Or, I know my friend and she's the one who does my hair, and she's like, oh my God, the drama in here with the girls and da-da-da-da. There's certain things with each job that you do that you're going to bitch about, right? So with my job, with fighting in IEP meetings and advocating. I say fighting because I do. I fight. Okay, we advocate, but I fight. And I'm advocating for kids in an IEP meeting, and sometimes I feel like, and I'll tell you, to be honest, sometimes the dumbest people are the attorneys. Literally. I had an attorney. I should show you guys, but I can't right now. I have an attorney that emailed me yesterday and said that the gen ed teacher could not be at the IEP meeting, or she was only going to be able to be there for a period of time, and that I should know, he put it in quotes, I should know that the law states that just a general ed teacher has to be there, so that the principal was going to sit in her place. The hell she was. So I wrote him back with a quote of probably 4 paragraphs of law and said, please let me know if you'd like to reschedule the meeting since your client, the school system, decided to not email the parent and request permission for the gen ed teacher to not be there, because that's by law what they have to do per the idea. You can Google it. Okay? And there's a principal website out there. I'll post it for you guys. And it talks about how principals, I got to charge my computer in just a second. Oh my God. Okay. It talks about how principals can actually be held responsible, personally responsible, for not upholding the rules and regulations per the idea in their school. And so I sent that too. And I said, please advise what you choose to do. Reschedule the meeting, or that teacher's going to be there. And he emailed us back this morning. Well, I woke up and the email was there this morning. And it said, oh, everything's worked out. I bet it is. But that's the shit that people pull. And I'm so done with it, And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. So it's one of those things where I want to teach you guys to do the things that you need to do so that you can protect yourself from the bullshit and not fall for it, because you shouldn't. All right. And this bullying tactic, this play with you tactic, it's a form of gaslighting, but it's also manipulation, and can be considered bullying. They're bullying you into believing a certain way and into doing something that doesn't have to be done because it's untrue. It's not accurate. It's not accurate information being given to you and persuading you to do something. He was basically saying, hey, the principal's going to sit in for the teacher. You got to deal with it. No, I don't. The principal can't even sit in for a teacher. The principal's the principal now. I don't care if she has a license. She ain't teaching. She's the principal. So just know that. All right. So let's go back real quick to that 0 assessment schedule. All right. So there's the diploma track. There's alternative assessment. And there's the 0. You have nothing. That's the best one for me. Think about if it's the best one for you. It's temporary. Will I maybe put Skylar back on a track? Yeah, maybe. It depends on where she is. Do I see her taking here it's called SOLs, the state assessment? No. So why the hell would I put her on the diploma track? I wouldn't. I've accepted the fact that that's not where she is right now. Now, if she ends up being able to do it, then that's awesome. But that's not where she is right now. And so I have to be focused on what is it I want her to learn and stay focused on that, not be focused on, damn, I wish she was on the diploma track. You know what I mean? So I want and always will have, until she can be on the diploma track, a 0 track, because the alternative assessment track does nothing. 0. You might as well be on the 0 track and the school not bullshitting to the state what it is your child did in the alternative assessment. Then your child having an alternative assessment with different goals that you don't know about. I didn't. I had no idea my child was working on freaking algebra when she was still learning subtraction. How does that even make sense? And when I said that to them, they said, "Here, I gotta go charge my. You gotta come with me because I gotta charge my computer. Sorry." All right. So, and I'm in my living room and stuff like that because I have puppies. I am a foster parent for puppies, and I have to be down here with them. So I can't be in my office, and it's completely unprofessional, but it is what it is. All right. So, and it's really not unprofessional. You're just in my living room with me, okay? I'm talking IEP stuff. So bottom line, I asked them, okay? I said, why are you working on algebra with her when she is still on subtraction? They were like, well, that is what's required of us by the state. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, Virginia has a set way in which they have the assessments. It's certain things at certain grades. And that's what the child has to work on by law, by the state law. If your child's on the alternative assessment, here, that fan is probably all crazy. Your child has to be working on XYZ. And so when I heard she was working on algebra, I'm thinking in my head, so my child's working on all this extra shit that when she could be working on her goals that are important. So you have to think about those things. If you're on the alternative assessment, your child's going to be working on things that you don't know about. All right? So, and that are not in their goals. They're never written out for you. So if you want to know what's in the alternative assessment, you have to demand it. They do not just hand it over. And guess what? You want to also ask for what it is that they sent about your child to the state. If your child is on the alternative assessment plan, get on the computer right now and ask for a copy of whatever your alternative assessment is called. You just go to your state and say, Special Education Alternative Assessment Plan for your state. California State Alternative Assessment Plan, Special Education. That's how you look it up. Then when you get the name, you get on the email and you say, and you send it to the director of special education, you send it to the teacher, case manager, everybody. I don't give a shit who you email, but you need to email them all, especially the director, and you need to say, I want to know what my child is working on with the alternative assessment. All right, obviously right now it's virtual, but you can ask for what they did work on. And you say, when is it that you work on that? And ask for what the layout is of what they work on, when, why, and how. Who's working on it with them? How are they working on it with them? Meaning, how are they delivering it? Verbally? Are they giving the kid a piece of paper? Whatever. All right. And then find out how the assessment itself is given. All right. What does that look like? Ask, what does it look like? When you're giving the alternative assessment, what does that look like? You want details, not bullshit. You want details. And then you want to ask, I want a copy of everything you have sent to the state in regard to my child's alternative assessments. They're going to flip shit, but ask for it. Okay? So there you go. 0 is they have nothing. They're on no track. They're not on the diploma track. They're not on the bullshit alternative assessment track. They're on their goal track. That's just me making that up. But they're on no track. All right? But in my mind, they're on their goal track. You get them some damn good goals, that's what they'll be working on instead of all this assessment stuff that a lot of our children are not there yet. Cannot do those things. Because the alternative assessment is still somewhat near grade level. I mean, again, my child was doing addition and subtraction and carrying over and stuff. And they were working on algebra with her because that's what the state assessment told them to do. And they had to, is what they said. So when I said, why the hell would you be working on algebra with them? They said, well, we have to. I said, what do you mean you have to? Well, that's what the state tells us to do. They send us what we need to work on with the child, and that's what we have to work on. There you have it. Diploma track, alternative assessment track, 0 track. That's all for tonight, guys. Got any questions? All right, so I'm going to look at some of these questions here. Oh, if you're just jumping on, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure you join the group at Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. Put it in the search bar. Click notifications here because look at this. Everybody's hopping on. Like I went live the other day and nobody hopped on hardly. It's crazy. But share this too because I think this is an important chat that we've had because a lot of people don't know about this. Have no clue. So share this. Everybody share this, okay? Plus your name goes into my hat and you get gifts at the end of the month. All right? And Christina and Cynthia and I think Kim, right? Kim? Yeah. Your gift cards are on the way. All right. So, questions. Kim says they have my child on the Regents diploma. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate you. You're welcome, Irene. No, Viviana. It is, I don't know. That's what it is. And I don't know because I'm fostering and they don't tell you what it is. They're not allowed to tell you what the dogs are because they said it was a liability. How it's a liability, I don't know. But that's their rules. Barb says, it's true, my grandson is failing. That's why I need you to move in. Viviana, oh no, I've never asked and had no idea. Now, I looked. We talked about this. I looked. I said, what track is your child on? And we saw, and it was alternative. Irene said, I am here because of my grandson. That's wonderful. We have lots of grandmas on here. I think that's awesome. Stephanie says, whoa, I never realized I should be asking. Have our annual tomorrow, and now I'm going to have to ask. Oh, yeah. Write down those questions. Re-listen to this and ask those questions. I'm telling you, I'm curious. You should come back and tell us what they say. Please do. Hi, Jessie. How are you? I'm doing good. How are you? Kristen said I had 0 clue about any of this, so Alternatives has 0 benefits for our kids. That's not what I said. I didn't say it has 0 benefits. I said that typically they're working on things that is beyond where they are, okay? And you have no clue about what they're working on. So that's the thing, is they were working on algebra with my child. Why? She's not there yet. What the hell are you working on? You know? And what it is, they have this list that the state gives them of what they got to work on. All right? And then they work on it. And this is outside of your goals. I know my child's day was busy. Where the hell are they fitting that in? Are you taking away from my child's goal time to work on stuff that she's not even at? In areas she's not at? Working on algebra? That's crazy. And then they get all this information together and then they have to send it to the state. So I mean, wait till you see the bullshit they sent to the state. Oh yeah, ask for this information. Expect them to get very perturbed with you. Oh yeah, it's just plan on that. Because they don't expect parents to ask that. Why? Because most of us don't know. Oh yeah. Anna said she didn't know. But yeah, I guess I can say that, Kristen. Typically, they're not going to benefit. No, they're not from the alternative. No, they're not. And plus, it doesn't mean anything. They're on this, and that's the thing about the alternative track. I'm not a fan. Why? It does nothing for them. It goes to the state to say, we're working on this with the kids. See, we're doing our job. We're not working on the goals right now, but we're working on the stuff that you told us to do so that we can send it to you because that's not where the child is right now, but we're working on it because you told us to. But the kids have all these goals over here that they're not working on, but we'll work on the state assessment for you. They'll sure as hell do that. That's for sure. Look, I'm getting mad now. I'm going to try not to get mad tonight. Okay, I need to contain myself. Oh, yeah, they get money for it. Yeah, 100%. It's I mean, it kind of goes into the whole, you don't want to get me into that stuff right now. We're not going to talk about that right now. When on here and you just talk to my soul. You're funny, Jessica. Unbelievable. Whatever happened to caring about, yep. My son is not on grade level, so I already know he's not on a diploma track yet. Well, you need to make sure he's not on the diploma track because that's our choice. And if you haven't chosen, that means they chose for you because he's on some sort of track. He's either on the diploma track or he's on the alternative assessment track. He's on one of them. All right, your kids are on one of them, guys. The diploma track or the alternative assessment. There's only two choices. Well, there's a third. They're just not going to tell you about it. You actually can choose to say, I choose to not have my child on the diploma track or the alternative assessment track. I want my child on no track. I want you focusing on my child's goals. That's what I want you focusing on. As long as your goals are straight. All right? Give me the goals. I'll do them for you. This is one reason I'd rather homeschool. Yes, a test must be given once a year, but doesn't have to be grade level or passed in North Carolina. Yeah, state, it starts in 3rd grade. Yes. What exactly does it say on those assessment tests? I don't know. It depends on where you live. So just Google wherever you live. So here it's called the VAP, VAAP. So in your area, you just want to do Idaho Special Education State Assessment. And then it'll come up of what the name is. Do they do this assessment starting in 1st grade? Look on your child's IEP, and it will tell you if they're on the alternative assessment or the diploma track. It will be checked. Alternate assessment is crap too. It is aligned to state standards, but that's right. That's right. That's exactly what I was saying. That is right. 100%. That's why my child was working on algebra when that's not where she was. I mean, who works on algebra when you're still learning addition and subtraction? I mean, it's just so freaking backwards. I mean, I was floored when I found this out. Ugh, talking too much. All right. If a child is on alternative assessment, it should be noted in the IEP. Yes, it is. All alternative assessments, guys, it's noted in your IEP. All right. If my kid is in 5th grade, but I feel like he's only doing 3rd grade level, then what do you do? You mean as far as the assessment? Is that what you mean? I mean, I wouldn't have them on an assessment plan at all. They shouldn't be on an assessment plan at all. Because in the state assessment, they're still going to be working on kind of age appropriate stuff. Like the algebra is age appropriate for her, but it's not where she's at. And yes, Aaron, the memorizing, comprehending. All right. Can I do another video on the 0 track? Sure. What happens after elementary school? Do they still continue to have an IEP or something else with some of the IEP if they still qualify for special ed? And the IEP stays in place until they're 22? I have to look. It's like 22, I think, 23, 22. I gotta look. So basically they stay in 12th grade, you know, like Cynthia said, they like stay in 12th grade, but they can still be that age. You're welcome, Stephanie. Yeah, Tess, I know. When IEP said applied studies diploma means the terms of learning. That's the assessment. Okay, they're not getting anything. No, the alternative isn't setting them up for failure. It's just, well, it could, because it's taking away from their goal time. It's working on things where they're not at. If their child's not on grade level, which if they were on grade level, they'd be taking the state assessments. So why would you do an alternative assessment when your child is obviously not on grade level? So they're not on the diploma track. So if they're not on the diploma track, the focus should be goals, daily living, and getting the gap closed. Not focused on alternative assessments that's similar to the state assessment, like it was said earlier, all right, that it is just modified. Okay, Jan was telling us that earlier. She's right. It's a modified version of the state assessment. Modified meaning a little bit easier, but still near grade level. And if our child's not there, then why would we want to waste our children's time doing an alternative assessment that is not productive when they need to be working on daily living skills and their goals so that they can bridge that gap and then maybe be on the diploma track? Or if the alternative assessment track makes sense at that time, then okay. But if there's such a huge gap, no plan needs to be in place. We need to focus on goals and services and accommodations and modifications and focusing on bridging that gap, closing that gap. Because once that gap's closed, then your child can what? Can maybe be on the alternative assessment plan or be on the diploma plan, even better. Okay? Because right now, if your child is in that place where there's a gap, okay, of 2+ years, then no, the alternative assessment plan does not make sense because you need to bridge that gap. The only way to bridge that gap is for them to work on the basics and goals and the accommodations and services and all those things that our kids need more of and not be focused on this assessment shit. All right? Because that's not going to teach them. The assessments are not going to teach them. They need to focus solely on goals. You know, a small amount of goals in a period of time. All right? You give a kid 4 or 5 goals. All right? Let them master that. Then we don't have to put that in IEP right now. We can move on to some more goals and give them goals to grow. You see my dog? To grow. All right? And that is the way that they're going to learn best. All right? Goals and increments. Have them go in increments, in an order, in a flow. Okay? And focus super hard on the child accomplishing them and mastering them. All right? And then move on. And if that gap closes, then we can think about some of these other things and put them in play. Let's not put the cart before the horse, because it does set our kids up for failure. And it may not always be academic failure. I have a student that is failing because his behavior is off the charts, because he's given so much at one time. It's like throwing a bunch of books at him and saying have at it, and his behavior's off the charts because it's too much for him to handle. And, you know, the alternative assessments are doing nothing. They don't do anything. Nothing. Zero. Do you ever get a copy of them? Have you ever, tell me, yes or no, in the comments, if your child's on the alternative assessment, have you gotten a copy of it? 3rd grade and up, have you gotten a copy of the alternative assessments? Tell me. Have you ever gotten a copy? Have you ever seen the alternative assessment? Do you know if your child is even doing it? For real? I know they're sending a bunch of crap to the state, but who knows, you know? There's no such thing, Tom, as a 0 track. That's a choice. All right. So in California, it's everywhere. All right. So that's a choice. Any of the tracks, diploma, alternative assessment, or 0 is a choice. If you want your child on the diploma track, then you say you want them on the diploma track. If you want your child on the alternative assessment track, then you say you want them on an alternative assessment track. If you want your child on a 0 track, that's Raven's words, 0 track, meaning they have nothing. They're not on an assessment track. They're not on the alternative. They're not on the diploma track. Okay, Raven's word is the 0 track, meaning nothing, 0 assessments. All right. Now, the goal is to bridge the gap. All right. The 0 track is Raven's words, the 0 track, meaning no alternative assessment, no diploma track, because that's not where our children are. Now, once the gap's bridged and your child is within 1.5 to maybe 2 years, then start the alternative assessment track. Maybe 2 years. I would say more 1.5 years. Then you can maybe start the alternative assessment track if you stay on top of it, meaning you better know when that assessment is given. You better know who gave it. You better know where it's given at, place. All right. You better know the time it's given. You better know what's worked on. You better know what the assessment has in it, literally 1 through 20 or whatever it is. You better know every in and out about that state assessment, the alternative state assessment. And you better know what's being sent to the state, and you need to get a copy. So if your child's on the alternative assessment track, you better know all of that stuff. You better get a copy of all that stuff. You better ask for a copy that was sent to the state. And guess what? You can actually ask for a FOIA request from your state. So all the information that's sent to your state by the school district, you can request from your state. You can email the state and you say, I am requesting XYZ that has been sent to you by the school district in regards to my child. The resource. Thanks, Mo. My resource teacher said, Shelly says this, my resource teacher said she doesn't know what to teach my autistic child. It is her responsibility to figure out how to teach him. They said it is not her responsibility because she's not an autism teacher. He needs to go to a school that's... Where the hell do you live? They really told you that? I'm nervous because my son will enter middle school. I'm not sure if I should keep him in an autism support program or resource with support. What's the difference between the two? And the reason I ask that is because autism support programs or autism classrooms are very different in different areas. And resource rooms and resource with support and all that kind of stuff is, again, very different. I know exactly what they are, but they're very different in how they look and how they're run. So Christina, explain that to me. Yes, Kim. I was wondering what you meant by that. I was like, deplorable. Yes. It is like it, but it's just modified. That's what it is. It's not, there's accommodations, but the accommodations are only the ones in your IEP. And it is modified. But that's it. So it's like taking the diploma assessment, but modified with your accommodations. It's the stupidest shit. It really is. All right. Is there a way to find out what the state requires the teachers are required to teach? Yeah. You can ask the teacher for her lesson plans. You can request from your state what by law, state law, is required of each grade level, and what must be taught and learned by each grade level. So basically that you would get the lesson plan from the teacher, and then you would write the state and ask the state for exactly what has to be taught in that grade. Does that make sense, Jennifer? Jessica, do we have a right to that information? Which information? You have a right to anything pertaining to your child. Anything. Just depending on what you want is which route you go. All right, so there's a FERPA and records request. There's a FOIA request, which is public knowledge and information. Then, you can do a FOIA to the state. I mean, you can have any access to your child's information. And you always want to be sure to keep in mind of what is suspicious, especially in a FOIA request, as to what is redacted. Because if it looks suspicious and you question it, you can actually take it to civil court and have a judge subpoena that information and find out if what was redacted was actually accurate. And it's cheap. You can do it yourself. You don't need an attorney. You can have an advocate, but you can do it on your own, So I always tell people, if you have a question or your gut's telling you that something that's redacted is not true, or there's too much, or they redacted something that you're like, oh, this doesn't look right, shit, take it to court. All you got to do is go to the general district court, and then the judge will find out if what was redacted is accurate. You have a right to know. So you can either believe the school, or if your gut's saying, no, you just take it to general district court, and the judge will subpoena the school and get your child's information and make sure it's not redacted, and then find out if what was actually redacted and what was given to you is actually what should be redacted, if that makes sense. I am so glad I logged in to watch your live. I had no idea. That's exactly what I'm going through with my 9-year-old. Aw. What plan should we ask for? Stephanie asked. Well, that's your decision. I would never answer that question for you. Now, if one of my clients asked me that, then I'd be able to answer a little bit better, just because I know their situation. I've seen all their IEPs and their evaluations and all their stuff. But as far as you, Stephanie, I don't know, because I don't know what plan of action you're on. So I don't know. It just depends. What if you're not satisfied with your school district teachers? Can you request a different school? You can, but it can be difficult, Ashley. It can, it can be difficult, but yes, you can. You have to request from the district transfer. I will tell you this. The more you throw a stink, the more they'll let you move. But I would approach it in a nice way at first and see how far you get. If not, sometimes being a little difficult gets on their nerves. They don't want to deal with you, and they give you what you want. And transferring schools because something's not working, especially if your child's not learning, all right? If you have some good objective data, then you have some substance in which to support your decision. If you want to move districts, sometimes. But if you're staying within the same district, then no. Does that make sense? Shelly said, Oh, you're talking to each other. Same problem. Complained. I actually worked because they had to send the teacher to autism training. All right. Can a parent ask for a copy of continuity learning plan with the school district past the state due to yeah, of course, Faye. You can have access to any of that. Elizabeth says, mine told me he doesn't qualify as ASD in an educational setting because the state makes them separate it out, and it can't be all what directly affects him in the educational setting is the LD and ED. He is in a self-contained classroom at the highest level and currently on a desensitization only in actual school an hour a day. Okay. How's that working, Elizabeth? Thank you for everything you do. You're amazing, helping us understand. Thank you, Kim. Can you guys hear me? Lori says they make them do grade level in Missouri. They will let them have accommodations, but they have to test on grade level even if they are not on that level. I'm a teacher and have always thought that was wrong. We have a student at my school that had been held back twice. He was in 3rd grade. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I say get him off the assessment track. Again, that's my personal choice that I put Skylar on the 0 track is what I call it. She's not on the alternative assessment track anymore, which she was, and she is not on the diploma track. She is on what I call the 0 track, and she's on the 0 track because I want her to learn what's in her goals, which is reading, writing, math, which she knows how to do all those things. She just needs to get better. So reading, writing, math, and the social studies and science is not the importance to me. And, we live in an area right next to museums, so I'm good there, but she is really focused, and I'm really focused on her with those basics, so. Hi, do you suggest to hold a child back to place him in an inclusion classroom with resource? I am not a fan of holding children back if they are past 3rd grade. My personal opinion, as a mom, I would not. That's no judgment on anybody else, though. So I feel like parents need to make the decision they feel is right for them and their kids and their household. I personally, in my mind, how I process things, I look at it like this. Let's just hypothetically say the child's in 4th or 5th grade, all right? And you want to hold them back. More than likely, unless they're severely, severely impacted, they're going to know in some way, shape, or form. And you have to look at the emotional aspect of the situation as well as the academic aspect. And sometimes the emotional aspect is a little bit more important. Make sense? And either way, the goals are going to be worked on. Either way, their needs have to be met. So you have to weigh it out. What's going to be best for my child? Holding them back or not holding them back? I always look at it as if you're not holding them back, then they're still going to move on, be with children of their age, but yet still work on the goals and accommodate and have the accommodations, have the services and everything that they need to continue to improve. I'm in my living room. My husband's doing dishes now. Sorry, guys. But, you know, nothing's going to change as far as them still working on the goals and services and everything that they need. Nothing's going to change there if they move up a grade level. Hi, Mylanda. How are you? Don't forget, guys, post a 1 below if you are new, first through third time. After third time, you are oldie but goodie. So post a 2 below. All right, and share this. I'm sure a lot of people really need to know this information because I guess here's my question to you. All right, and I'm going to end it at this. If your child is on the diploma track and they're doing good, all right, find out what their scores are on the state assessment. If they're doing good, obviously go for it. Absolutely. But if they're on the alternative track, all right, and let's just say you were never told about this. You just knew your child's on the alternative track. But no one ever asked you, do you want your child on the alternative track? Do you want your child on the diploma track? That is actually your right as a parent to decide. No one else's. That's not something. So, for example, my daughter's on the 0 track. There's no such thing as the 0 track. Let me clarify. There is no such thing as the 0 track. The 0 track is what Raven Woods calls the track that her daughter is on. The 0 track is, in fact, a track that is nothing. 0. Not the alternative assessment, not the state assessment. All right? The reason I chose not to have Skylar on the alternative assessment is because I started asking myself questions. What is the alternative assessment doing for my child? My dog just got down, sorry. Okay. What is the alternative assessment doing for my child? Is it helping my child? How is it helping my child? Is my child progressing in some way by taking this assessment? Is it teaching my child anything in any way by taking this assessment? Is it showing me that my child has mastered their goals by taking their assessment? That is the key question. If you are not seeing that your child is accomplishing their goals by this assessment that is giving them information and I guess knowledge, if you will, possibly, that they're not ready for, that is teaching them things that they're not able to grasp, how is that going to benefit my child in any way? So you're taking away from my child's time to work on goals. You're taking away possibly time that my child could be in a service and getting services, because we all know, we're told, oh, well, we don't want to take your child out of class any more than they have to go to speech, to go to, occupational therapy. They can get consulted in the classroom. We don't need to do all that. So, but you'll take my child out of the classroom to do alternative assessments because they're not doing the alternative assessments in the classroom. So how was that benefiting my child? It wasn't. So that's what you need to look at. How is it benefiting your child? If it's benefiting your child, keep them in the alternative assessments. If it's not, get them out. Because it's time wasted that they could be working on goals. Time wasted that they could have an extra service that they need, that the school's making an excuse that they don't want to take them out of the class because they're so busy doing other things. That's just where it's at. All right? All right, just finished my hearing. I'm waiting for the district to rewrite the IEP. Yeah. All right, guys. I think I answered most of the questions. Did I answer them all, guys? If not, let me know. It's nothing personal. Wednesday is 5 days. Sky must have mixed up days and weeks. No, she means next Wednesday. All right, I think I answered every question. I'm not sure if I didn't. I'm sorry. Just PM me your question. And we will go from there. I'm sorry that I have dogs moving everywhere and all that kind of stuff, but like I said, I have these puppies and I have to watch them. Okay? It's my job. I have to watch these puppies. All right? And my thing is you know what? Isn't it about the content that I give you, not where I'm at? Right? All right. So don't forget, post a 1 below if you are new. First through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure you say hello. Join the group. Put in the search bar, Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. I hope to see you over there. Do I teach my husband to do dishes too? I didn't have to teach him. He did it when he came into my life. Yep. He's really good at it. I didn't have to teach him that. I've taught him other things, but I have not taught him to do dishes. Raven, know anything about hill wrap? No, what's that? Hello, Jennifer. So, okay, I remember answering your question. Yeah, that was Rocco. That's right. You know what's funny is my son is having a baby. Aaron, I'm going to tell you this story real quick. My son is having a baby, and we were going back and forth on names, and they have decided on Colton Christopher. And so I was like, oh, cool. I love the name Cole. They won't let me call him Cole. Yeah. But going back to Rocco, like, I love that name. You know, Madonna, I think her son's name's Rocco. But they're like, I don't want to name my kid after a dog. I'm like, a lot of dogs have people names. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But yeah, I love the name Rocco. But yeah, it's a reading program. No, send me some information on that. Is it good? Is the alternative assessment only connected to the child with an IEP or just for the whole school? Just, they have to have an IEP or 504 to qualify to be on that, unless they have documented information and, you know, where there's a lot of accommodations in play and that sort of, but typically it's for 504 and IEP, yes. I won't even go into the technicalities of the other, so yes, 504 or IEP. Thanks, Aaron. All right, I will talk to you guys soon. All right, so have a good night, and I was wondering if you knew if it was decent or sex. Oh, I don't know. I've never heard anything about it. Message me the information. No idea. I'm an Orton Gillingham lover. So, and structured literacy. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful night. PM me if you have any questions. And I am taking new clients. All right. And if you are interested in the courses, let me know. So I have a big course that goes through the whole process, or the smaller course, which is the accommodations, modifications, and services mini course. All right. So PM me and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.